guys, welcome back to the garage, man. So today we're starting off with, well, we're gonna be doing a couple of things in this video. I need to get to work on my 8.8, and at the same time Braven is also prepping his frame, getting it ready for us to put a coat of primer on it. I don't know if we're gonna get to spraying it in this video or not. Ideally we would like to, but he's been working basically all morning on getting this thing sanded. Is it all done or what? Still the bottom?
No, I did the bottom. I need to grind off some tabs still.
Oh. It's not completely ready for primer, but I need to get my gun ready and get the primer and everything ready, and by the time he's ready, I should be ready, and we'll be able to start spraying this thing, at least get some primer on it. I need to clear my workbench here, get some stuff out of the way. I had to go and run and get a new compressor hose because this one I had sat on my pressure washer and the exhaust burnt a hole in it. So now that's trash. I'm gonna clear this off. We gotta get the 8.8 set up here because I want to start cutting it and getting it ready to weld up and shorten it and stuff, you know. All right, Braven's got the frame all sanded. I got the primer mixed up and in my gun. Went ahead and wiped the thing all down. I gotta blow it off a little bit, make sure there's no dust on it. Then we're gonna just go ahead and knock out a coat of primer on this thing. Using white epoxy primer, same stuff that I used on the S10 over there. It's a good strong primer and it's good for direct metal, and yeah, it should protect this thing from rusting. I would have rather have had black epoxy primer so it's darker. So if anything ever did get scratched anywhere, it's not white underneath. But what can you do? This is what it is I actually have here right now. So that's what we're gonna use. Frame all sprayed with primer. I have decided that 100% I am not spraying the paint right here. We were kind of thinking about it, but spraying the primer really set it in my mind that I do not want to paint right here. The thing is with primers, it dries really fast, so as it's in the air, before it lands on stuff, it lands, it's dry already, so it's just dust, you know, it'll blow off. The paint itself dries a lot slower, so as it lands on things, it's not dust, it's still very much so wet, and that's how you get overspray and it'd be stuck. And I don't want overspray absolutely everywhere, because just primering this thing right here, everything back here has dust on it, you know. So we are going to need to spray this inside of the booth, and that's gonna have to be another day for sure. So anyhow, I went ahead and I cleaned up my mess, got the 8.8 out here. I want to get this thing cleaned up a little bit before I get it up on the bench. So the plan is for tonight, I want to just get as much of the dirt and everything off of this as I possibly can, then get it up on the bench. So first thing in the morning, we can focus on getting this thing cut, shortened, and then get it welded up and stuff. Get moving in the right direction to put it underneath that damn thing. Hey there, little buddy.
There's some fast guy stuff right here.
Fast guy?
I don't know nothing about this life.
Dude, don't come out here just because you got a 9-inch thinking. Like, you know what I'm saying? But 8.8 is plenty. Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, only making like 300 horsepower. I mean, that's fine.
Only making
per cylinder.
Bro, you only have half of a 9-inch anyhow. You don't even have the expensive part yet. So get the hell out of here, dog. I don't want to hear it. You know, you gotta spend. Hey, you gotta
sponsor me, dog.
I just did, dog. The hell?
Talking about them.
Oh, man, you know, if somebody wanted their frame painted like this, I'd be like,
got you 4 Red Bulls.
I'd be like $1,000, my friend.
That's
what
like
the hell?
That's like better than money.
No, you know what? We were talking to a guy. We went earlier to this swap meet thing. It was Chevy only swap meet over at Speedway, put on by Dino. And there was a guy there that had a frame that was powder coated. I asked him how much it cost to have it powder coated. And it was around $500–600 just for powder coat. But yeah, honestly, that's really not that bad. Powder coat would have been a pretty dope ass move, because you know they would have sandblasted it. So they would have sandblasted the whole thing and then coated it and then baked it, and yeah, it'd have been sick. But you know, it is what it is. We already have everything here to paint it.
I don't need all that.
Yeah,
I'm good with all that.
Anyhow, busting out the good old pressure washer. Gotta get this thing scrubbed down, and then I'm gonna need your help putting this motherfucker up there. I mean, it's either you're gonna have to help me, or I'm gonna have to get the engine hoist out. Click, click, boom, baby! What the hell? Fail. Good morning, King Henry. Good morning. How's the kingdom doing this morning, huh? You choose to make things more difficult than they need to be sometimes, you know that? You know that, buddy? I'm gonna let Toby and Puppers scan the backyard, make sure there's no cats, and then we'll let you down. Check the perimeter! Where's Toby? Toby! Come on, Toby. Check the perimeter! So this is gonna be the rear end that I'm gonna be putting inside of my S10. For those of you who don't know, this is a Ford 8.8. It came out of a 98 Ford Explorer. This does have a 373 gear in it, and it is the factory LSD. This is the exact same thing that I put inside of my Blazer, if any of you guys have seen those videos. I'm not going to go into complete detail on this as far as cutting and shortening and the measurements and all that crazy stuff, because I've already done that. I will put a link in the description down below to my other video when we did this the first time. That video, I went way more in depth as far as measurements and where to cut and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, I'm probably going to refer back to my own video to do research on how to do this one. The only difference between this rear end and that one is that this one is a factory LSD. The one that I put inside of the Blazer did not have a factory LSD, so it was open diff, and I actually put a mini spool inside of there, in which honestly I should be putting the LSD one in the Blazer and pulling that one out and putting it in the truck with the mini spool. But it is what it is. Is this going to be my final rear end in this truck? Probably not. I don't know. 8.8s are great. At the same time, I don't know if I am really going to be happy with the 373 gear, but this is going to get me started. You know what I'm saying? In the future, I might like try to go to like a 410 gear or something inside of this, and maybe something a little stronger than the factory LSD and all that stuff. But for now, this is going to get me on the road. You know what I'm saying? This is going to get me started and get me going. So when we got this rear end from the junkyard, if you're not familiar with these, one side is longer than the other, and we need to shorten the long side and make it equal length. So on the inside of these axle tubes, the axles that run through there, the short side obviously has a shorter axle, the long side has a longer axle. While I was at the junkyard, I was smart this time, and I pulled the long axle out and I grabbed another short axle and I slid the short axle in. So I purchased one rear end with both axles that I need. So I've already got the C-clip taken off of this one. This is the one that we stabbed in there from the junkyard, and that is a short axle. So right now that axle does not reach the carrier, so we need to take a section of this tube out and re-weld it up to where this side is the same length as that side, so that that short axle will actually reach the carrier, basically. Just to be as brief as I can about an explanation to what it is we got to do here. So the axle perches that are on here, where it actually attaches to the leaf springs, and then these mounts right here were for the factory sway bar for the Ford Explorer, sorry. All that stuff needs to be cut off because I'm not going to use any of it. I was kind of thinking that maybe I should keep these as a bolting point to make brackets for an anti-roll bar whenever I install it later, but that's not going to work either because they are not centered whenever we shorten it. Right now they are centered with the long side still being long. Now once we shorten this side, then those are no longer going to be in the center. So I'm just gonna have to go ahead and send it, cut everything off. Before we get to cutting, I got a little bit more disassembly to do. I want to actually take the entire brake assembly and all that stuff off of this side. I'm probably gonna leave this side this time. Last time I took everything apart, and there's really no reason to take this side apart. That's how it's done, son. That's how it's done. Oh crap, I forgot that there's like bearings and seals and stuff that I need to order. Yeah, I should probably do that. Probably. You know what, I am gonna go ahead and take all the brakes off of that side because it is gonna make it a lot easier to clean this thing all up. Plus, I just remembered I gotta do the bearings and the seals on both sides. Better to do it now while I'm here. I don't have those things, I need to go get them, but I want to at least try to get this thing shortened today. So we are going to need to pull the axle on the other side. I need to get the C-clip out in order to do that. So first thing we got to do is take this little retaining bolt out of here. Come back up, buddy. Bang, bang. All right. Now we can simply push in on the axle, exposing our C-clip. Now grab the C-clip out of there. C-clip is out and covered in freaking gear oil now. Shoop. Baby, come back to me. Alright, I went ahead and put that pin back in there for safekeeping so I don't lose it. I tend to lose shit around here. And I'm going to go ahead and put this cover back on as well. So we can try to keep as much dirt and shit out of here as possible before we start cutting. Alright, now we're ready to start cleaning this thing up. Getting rid of all the old perches and sway bar mounts, everything off of it. I'm going to start with the sway bar mounts. Basically just going to cut on both sides, and then I'm gonna have to come back with a soft disc and smoothen it out. we got the axle tubes all smoothened out, got all that stuff off of there. Now I am going to end up knocking this entire thing down to metal before I finish this, because I do want to, you know, primer it and paint it and make it look nice. Same way that we did the one that is actually on the Blazer. But for the time being, I'm trying not to worry about all that right now. I need to figure out my measurements, in which luckily for me, I mean, I could go and just measure the rear end that's on the Blazer, because we basically have to do the exact same thing. Or I still have my little drawing in here on my damn whiteboard whenever we did do the Blazer. So 38 and 3/8 of an inch. This is where I'm confused. I don't know which one of these were my centers for the leaf spring, but it was one of those measurements. I'm gonna have to double check that. But 2 7/8 is what it is that we need to cut out of the long side. Exactly 2 7/8 of an inch. But it's the placement and where we need to cut it that is also going to be important. So I need to go and double check this measurement. I'll explain that a little bit better here in a moment. All right, so from center to center on the Blazer currently is 38 3/4 of an inch. Which is neither one of those measurements. What the hell? All right, I need to mark this thing at exactly 7 3/4 from this face right here where the brakes bolt up. I gotta mark it all the way around, and I want it to be straight, obviously. I'm gonna use some tape, but I'm rolling the tape around backwards. I'm gonna get the length really quick, and then I gotta try to get the tape to be nice and square with itself. Bang, bang. So now since the tape is backwards, I can still slide it on the tube and it's squared up with one another, so I know that that's making a straight line all the way around it. I'm gonna mark it up with my mark that I just made. That is 7 3/4. Double check it. Now I'll put a piece of tape going the regular direction, actually taping this to where it can't move. One on the top, one on the bottom, and now just drag my Sharpie across the edge of that tape all the way around, and that is our cut line, our first cut line. All right, so we want our weld, whenever we take the 2 7/8 out of this, we want our weld to be right there, because that's gonna be the center of our spring perch. I don't have new spring perches yet, but I have them ordered. I gotta wait for them to come in. But whenever we put our spring perch on here, it's gonna sit, that's gonna be the center of it. I need to figure out the degree and everything still, but that will for sure be the center. So then I'll be welding our spring perch on this side and on this side, on each side of that weld, just kind of helping strengthen it a little bit. And another thing, I just said that was going to be our first cut. That's actually going to be our second cut. So now I need to mark exactly 2 7/8 of an inch over from that. We'll cut this one first, because whenever we cut this piece will fall off, and then this will still be sitting on the rear end, making it easier to cut it. If we cut here first, then we're gonna have to hold this piece cutting the second cut. 1, 2 7/8. All right, we are ready to cut. I went ahead and I marked it again because I went over this whole thing with a coat of primer, just so that the marker actually stands out a little bit better, so I can see what the hell I was doing, right? Anyhow, now I also have just a dirty rag that I'm going to shove into the axle tube, use a long screwdriver and try to shove it down in this area, like after the area that we're cutting, just so that like all the metal shavings and stuff doesn't go that way, and whenever we get it cut, I can just pull the rag out, and hopefully all the metal shavings will come with it and will stop them from making it all the way down here, you know what I'm saying? Also, hopefully the rag doesn't catch on fire. That's a good hope. Same 4x4 I used last time. It's also the same one that didn't kill us when I was balancing a cat eye 3 feet in the air on it. Actually, YouTube hasn't seen that yet. You'll see it soon. Bro, you know what? I spent all the time trying to cut this all nice and clean, dude. Like, this is the kind of shit that I deal with, okay? Like, I know that I have a 64 gigabyte freaking SD card inside the camera. I know I have a 64 gigabyte, and I hate the 64s. I like the 128s, because I don't ever run out. I'm sitting there recording, And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I recorded all of that last night, priming the frame and all of the grinding and all the stuff that I recorded. I bet I'm gonna run out of SD cards soon. I walk over here and I check the camera to make sure it's still recording when I had like just a tiny little bit left. And then I go back to finish it because I wanted to make sure that I got that, you know, the last little bit where this thing went doink. You know, the satisfying moment. The satisfying moment. I walk over, I check the camera, make sure it's still recording. I go over 2 seconds. Get my satisfying moment. Walk back to the camera and it says memory card freaking full. Oh my god, dude. I'm gonna reenact the whole thing. So just so you guys know, this is a reenactment because I'm actually really upset about that. And I had to go in and clear SD cards and make room to continue recording, which is why the sun, it's been so long, the sun has now shifted. The last clip was in the shade. Motherfucker. Now I have a whole nother cut to still make. Hey, our rag did not catch on fire. Ain't that nice? Very nice, my friend. And it looks like we stopped all the metal from going in there, I think. Kind of, sort of. So we got to get it as clean as possible so we can get a good weld on it. And then we are going to bevel this edge. Put a really heavy bevel on it so we have a nice little valley to fill full of weld. But got to get it all cleaned up first. All right, I'm gonna use somewhat of a dirty rag here with some acetone to try to kind of break through, you know, the first layer, and then I'll come back with a cleaner rag. And also, I wanted to mention, huge shout out to a local guy here by the name of Manny. I appreciate you, brother. He hooked it up with a couple gallons of acetone. He said he also has a couple more gallons he wants to drop off to me or for me to pick up or something, but I haven't got a chance to tell you thank you yet, but I most certainly appreciate it. As you can see, I am putting it to use, man. Dang. It's already looking pretty good in there. Bro, the vacuum was taking the grease out of this because it was like coming, the grease is like dried up and it was kind of like flaking off. It's almost coming off like vinyl, dude. It was weird, but I got a lot of it up with just vacuuming it. All right, now I'm gonna use a clean rag, but first I'm gonna go ahead and buzz off all the paint and everything around this area where we have to weld. All right, I'm gonna be squaring this thing up and holding it together, clamping it together, doing it the same exact way that I did last time with this 3-inch C-channel. I got 2 pieces of this. So one piece will go on the top and one piece will go on the bottom. And then you clamp that on to the tube as tight as you can. And then over here on this end, you're able to just slide this piece in and then obviously square it up. We're gonna have to check our measurements from the face of this back to the center diff housing. Make sure that this measurement from here to here is the same, you know, in like 4 different points. Measure it all the way around and just make sure it's nice and square. Basically, this measurement from here to here has to be the same as this measurement from here to here. That's what you're looking for. After we took that 2 7/8 of an inch out, once I get it all clamped up and measure it a million times, make sure everything is nice and square, then I'll go ahead and I'll put a tack on the areas. I'll try to do 4 tacks, so it'll be like 1 2 3 4, jumping back and forth on the areas that are exposed whenever this is all clamped up. Through the whole welding process, you got to try to keep an eye on the measurement, make sure that your weld isn't pulling it and making it distort in any way, of course. I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel like I am nearly experienced enough for doing this kind of stuff, but I did it last time and it worked out great. I haven't had a single problem with the 8/8 that's in the Blazer, so all I gotta do is just make sure to do it as well as I did last time. Oh, and another thing, if any of you guys have noticed, I didn't put a reference line. So whenever I cut this off, I needed to put, well, normally people would put a reference line that you need to line that line back up so you know which way this needs to be clocked, because you don't want to just weld this on here with this flange on the end just in any old position. It's got to be in the position it was in whenever you actually cut it off. But if you look on the inside of this, there is a factory seam right there. Do you see that seam? So basically, line that seam up. I'm gonna scribe it on the outside so I know where it's at. You got to line the seam up of the piece that you cut off to the seam that is still inside of there, if you guys can see that. But yeah, there's a factory seam running on the inside of the tube, so just make sure to line that back up and this thing will be clocked in the correct position. Put a little Sharpie mark right on our seam on both sides, and I just know I gotta line that up. 17 3/8. 17 3/8, both sides. 17 3/8. 17 3/8. Sorry, this is gonna be a little bit more difficult to see, but 17 3/8. We are square, boy. Squared up. 17 3/8. Yes, sir. I got my two Sharpie marks lining up right there, so I know that my little factory seam on the inside is lining up, which tells me that the mounting place for the brakes is clocked in the correct position. Alright, welding portion is done. Well, as far as I can do today anyhow. I need to wait for my spring purchase to come in. Unfortunately, I did order them off of Amazon. Just they didn't have, the ones that I want, they didn't have available for Prime or even 3-day shipping. They're going to take like a week to get here. Well, they're supposed to be here on the 27th, which is also Jessica's birthday. Just to let you guys know. So yes, I'm going to be receiving a gift for myself on baby's birthday. What the hell? Anyhow, I think to close this out, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up a little bit more. I'd like it to be ready so that whenever the spring purchase do come in, we can pull some measurements, figure out exactly where they need to be, weld those in, and then I can move forward with getting this painted, and then we can reassemble it. Oh, also, I need to get new bearings and new seals, in which, if I'm being 100% honest, I completely forgot about that. Wasn't until I was cutting this and then I was like, oh, there's a bearing in there. Oh yeah, I need to get new ones. I probably don't need to, but it's just, you know, while we're here, may as well do it. I did it with the 8.8 that we put inside of the Blazer. I put all new seals and bearings and stuff in it, so figured why not? I may as well do it with this one as well, so it's one less thing that we'll have to worry about, at least for a while, all right? Anyhow, I got the tube all welded up. I pulled measurements and it didn't move. It stayed nice and square, which is definitely a good thing. And then I went ahead and I put 4 staggered welds on the tubes to the center section on both sides, because that, you know, people say to do that because I guess these can spin inside of there. So yeah, now pretty much all I'm really gonna do is just go over the whole thing with the wire wheel and just try to kind of knock all the crap off the tubes and just kind of get it cleaned up and ready so that whenever the rest of the stuff does come in, we can just pick right back up where we left off and get this thing knocked out. Braven wants to come out here and flex on us. Look at this man. Look at this man.
Bro, look at those little channels in there. Damn.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, no, I got you the flashlight so you can see a little better.
Yeah, that's crazy. So these are CNC ported by Borowski. If you guys know who Borowski is, then you know. And if you don't know who Borowski is, then, well, you don't know.
Get with the program.
Yeah, these are some pretty serious heads, man. It's all titanium valves, valve springs, retainers. Yeah, these things have been CNC ported. Honestly, I can't tell you everything.
I can't either.
He got hooked up with Borowski through his job? Through somebody at your job or through your job period?
Through somebody at my job, but it was through my job.
Yeah. I mean, well, everybody that works over at Hughes, just about everybody over there is in the lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? They all either have or had or been into racing at some point in their lives.
Right.
You
or
know?
done it enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, through them, he got hooked up with Borowski and got some CNC ported heads. Sent his heads off to them to be CNC ported, and they did all the work and everything. Installed their valve train, and they made him a custom ground billet cam that is on its way. Like, dude,
that's the final piece.
Like he got hooked up with, bro. He didn't get it for free by any means, but they definitely took care of him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. These are gonna make a huge difference.
They even drilled out the head for the 1/2-inch head stud upgrade.
Oh,
so I didn't have to worry about doing that myself. They did all that, and so it's like, honestly, the only thing I've been waiting for to assemble the engine technically is the cam. So now the cam is about ready to be shipped out to me sometime this week. Well, it's already shipped out Friday, so it should be here, but sometime.
Anyhow, get them back inside.
Yeah, right.
This is the danger zone out here. I've got this thing halfway cleaned up. It's definitely a lot of work. It had a lot of gear oil all over it and shit. It's all saturated, so I'm trying to do the best that I can. Look what I found hiding inside of my freaking laundry room. I always take stuff like this and I like hang it on the wall in places so that I can find it, but I lose it. I just went in there and I noticed that this was hanging behind the shelf, all hidden and shit. I was like, dude, that would freaking work perfect right now. Use my little squirt bottle for cleaning my spray gun. Hell yeah. My God, man, I underestimated what it's gonna take to get this thing freaking clean. I realized that all the black that was on here, what I thought was paint, it's actually just built up freaking like road grime over the years. All of this black, all of it's got to come off, dude. I've been sitting there scrubbing and scrubbing. It's running down to the ground. Dude, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night with this damn thing. I'm tired of scrubbing it. We could pick back up on this later. While I'm waiting for parts to come in, I'll just come out here every day and just give it a good soak with super clean, you know, just let it kind of break that stuff loose, and then next time I pressure wash it, maybe it'll all come off. Anyhow, I also realized I probably shouldn't primer it right now because I'm gonna need it on these jack stands and be spinning it whenever we do weld those perches on, and the jack stands are gonna leave really deep scratches inside of that primer if I was to primer it right now. So long story short, long story short, tonight I'm gonna call it end for this. Jesus, why can't I freaking talk right now? I've been inhaling acetone fumes for the past hour. That's probably the reason why. Anyhow, I am going to call it quits on this for the night. I want to go ahead and get a jump start on my next project before it starts to get dark. Well, it's already starting to get dark. Before it does get dark. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We got Braven's frame primered. We need to get the booth cleaned up and get the Camaro clear coated, move it out, and then we can move the frame in to spray it. I have parts coming for this guy, and I have a lot of parts just sitting for the truck that as soon as we're able to get that in there, I'm gonna be able to start putting those parts on the truck. We also have got to do some body work and some primer and stuff on the doors. I still haven't decided when I'm gonna paint the S10. You guys know I have a lot of projects going on around here. I also sold the Mini. So the Mini Cooper is gone, and I got every single penny that I was asking for it, man. So the budget just got a little bit taller for picking up a donor vehicle for the C10. A lot of stuff coming, bro. I hope you guys are excited about it. Stick in there with me. I most certainly am excited to start getting some of these projects moving and getting some of them done. Peace, and I'll see you tomorrow.